How many nights this month have you been ripped out of sleep by a muscle cramp so intense you couldn't even straighten your leg? You're grabbing your calf, teeth clenched, waiting for it to release, and wondering why this keeps happening. Whether it's your calf seizing at 3 a.m., your foot locking up mid step, or your thigh cramping during a workout, that number should be zero. And it can be. The real solutions aren't in your medicine cabinet. They've been growing in gardens and hedgerows for centuries. I'm going to walk you through 5 plants that actually work. Each one targets a different cause, and by the end, you'll know exactly which ones your body actually needs. Stick around until the last plant because it fixes a type of cramp that the other 4 can't touch. You already know what a cramp feels like, but here's what's actually happening inside your muscle. It's stuck. The signal to squeeze fired, but the signal to let go never came. And while your muscle stays clenched, it's getting irritated and inflamed, which makes it even harder to release. That's why the same spot keeps cramping over and over. You have to calm that irritation first. The first step in breaking this pattern comes from an unexpected source, a small, sour fruit that most people overlook in favor of its sweeter cousin. Tart Cherry contains a concentration of anthocyanins and phenolic compounds that directly target the inflammatory processes behind chronic cramping. A randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition tested tart cherry juice on 54 runners covering an average of 26 kilometers over 24 hours. Participants drank 355 milliliters of tart cherry juice twice daily for 7 days before the event and on race day, and the cherry juice group reported significantly reduced muscle pain compared to the placebo group. Each bottle contained the equivalent of 45 to 50 cherries. The mechanism targets the same inflammatory pathway as ibuprofen and other over-the-counter pain relievers, but without the stomach irritation and gastrointestinal side effects that come with long-term pharmaceutical use. Anthocyanins from tart cherries have been shown to reduce circulating inflammatory markers in healthy adults when consumed daily. For cramp prevention, the research points to juice rather than capsules. A 2025 systematic review and meta-analysis in Annals of Medicine and Surgery analyzed 10 trials and found that tart cherry juice supplementation at around 260 milliliters daily significantly improved muscle function and decreased multiple markers of inflammation in the blood. The juice form seems to matter because the concentration of phenolic compounds, at least 600 milligrams per serving, matches what studies showing positive results have used. Timing also matters with tart cherry. The research consistently shows that benefits appear when you start supplementation several days before the activity that causes cramping, not after. Think of it as loading your tissues with anti-inflammatory compounds before the stress hits. How to use tart cherry for muscle cramps. Drink 1 cup, about 250 milliliters, of tart cherry juice in the morning and 1 cup in the evening. Start this routine at least 4 to 5 days before any activity that typically triggers cramping and continue daily for ongoing prevention. Look for 100% tart cherry juice or concentrate diluted according to package directions. If using concentrate, 1 ounce mixed with water twice daily equals approximately the same dose used in clinical trials. Tart cherry addresses the inflammation that perpetuates cramping cycles, but it doesn't directly calm the nervous system signals that trigger contractions in the first place, and that requires a different approach entirely. For centuries before anyone understood neurotransmitters or receptor binding, Native Americans were using a climbing vine with distinctive purple and white flowers to calm nervous conditions. European colonizers adopted the plant, and by the 1800s, it had become one of the most widely prescribed botanical remedies for anxiety and muscle tension across both continents. Passionflower works through a mechanism that modern research has only recently begun to understand. The plant contains compounds that interact with the gamma aminobutyric acid system, commonly called GABA, which is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in your nervous system. When GABA activity increases, nerve signals slow down, muscles stop receiving constant contract messages, and tension releases. A landmark clinical trial compared passionflower extract against oxazepam, a pharmaceutical benzodiazepine used to treat generalized anxiety disorder. Over a 4-week period, 36 patients received either 45 drops of passion flower extract daily or 30 milligrams of oxazepam daily. The results showed both treatments were equally effective at reducing anxiety. But here's what matters for cramp sufferers. The passion flower group showed significantly less impairment of job performance, meaning the relaxation came without the mental fog that benzodiazepines produce. Another clinical trial gave surgical patients 500 milligrams of passion flower extract for 90 minutes before their procedure. The passion flower group showed significantly lower anxiety scores compared to placebo, and the researchers noted no changes in psychomotor performance or blood pressure, which means the calming effect happened without sedation or cardiovascular effects. A systematic review published in Nutrients examined 9 clinical trials on passion flower for neuropsychiatric conditions and found that the majority reported reduced anxiety levels with no adverse effects, including memory loss or collapse of psychometric function. The effect was less evident in people with mild symptoms, suggesting passion flower works best when nervous system activity is genuinely elevated. How to use passion flower for muscle cramps. For capsule or tablets, take 400 to 500 milligrams of dried passion flower extract 1 to 2 hours before bed. For tincture, take 45 drops, approximately 1 full dropper, divided into 2 or 3 doses throughout the day, with the final dose taken before bed. For tea, steep 1 teaspoon of dried passion flower herb in 1 cup of just boiled water, covered for 10 minutes. Then strain and drink 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If nighttime cramps are your main problem, focus your dosing in the evening hours. Passion flower calms the nervous system broadly, but for cramps that involve ongoing tension rather than acute episodes, building up GABA activity over time creates a more stable foundation. When you crush a lemon balm leaf between your fingers, the smell hits you first. Bright, citrusy, almost too cheerful for a plant that medieval physicians prescribed for melancholy and nervous disorders. People have been drinking lemon balm tea since antiquity for its calming effects, but the reason it actually works, that's only recently been identified. A 2024 clinical review published in Nutrients examined lemon balm's effects on psychological well-being and found evidence for anxiolytic and antidepressant properties along with cognitive and sleep quality improvements. The review noted that lemon balm components modulate GABAergic, cholinergic, and serotonergic systems, meaning the plant works through multiple brain pathways simultaneously. For muscle cramps, the GABA amplifying effect translates to reduced nervous system excitability that prevents the misfiring signals responsible for cramping. Traditional use confirms this. Lemon balm has been applied specifically for gastrointestinal spasms, abdominal cramping, and the muscle tension that accompanies anxiety. Preparation matters with lemon balm. The essential oils containing citral, nerol, and geraniol are volatile and will evaporate if you steep uncovered. Fresh leaves contain higher concentrations of volatile oils than dried, so if you grow lemon balm, use it fresh when possible. How to use lemon balm for muscle cramps. For tea, place 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon balm leaves or 1 teaspoon of dried leaves in a cup. Pour water heated to just below boiling, around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, over the leaves. Cover the cup immediately with a saucer or lid and steep for 10 to 15 minutes. Strain and drink 1 cup in the afternoon and 1 cup 30 to 60 minutes before bed. For capsules, Take 300 to 600 milligrams of standardized extract daily, with the higher dose taken before bed. For tincture, take 60 drops, approximately 2 to 3 milliliters, 2 to 3 times daily. Lemon balm amplifies GABA activity throughout the day. But for cramps that keep recurring over weeks and months, a long term stabilizer that builds up in your system creates the most reliable prevention. Those delicate white petals radiating from golden centers look almost too fragile to do anything useful, but the appearance deceives. Chamomile has been used medicinally for thousands of years, and a 2010 review published in Molecular Medicine Reports confirmed what traditional practitioners long observed. This common garden flower contains compounds that produce measurable muscle relaxation. The key compound is apigenin, a flavonoid that binds to the same brain receptors as benzodiazepines, the pharmaceutical class that includes Valium and Xanax. The binding is subtler than pharmaceutical drugs, which is why chamomile calms without knocking you out, but the effect is real and measurable. Muscle fibers that receive fewer excitatory signals begin to release their grip. Standardized chamomile extracts contain approximately 1.2% apigenin, which researchers consider one of the most effective bioactive agents in the plant. For preventing cramps rather than treating acute episodes, chamomile works as a daily baseline that reduces overall nervous system excitability over time. Preparation determines whether chamomile works or disappoints. Most people steep for 3 minutes and wonder why nothing happens. The active compounds need time and proper conditions to extract fully. Use water just below boiling, around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, because anything hotter destroys the volatile oils. Cover the cup while steeping to trap the medicinal compounds that want to evaporate. The water should turn from clear to golden amber. How to use chamomile for muscle cramps. For tea, place 1 heaping tablespoon, about 3 grams of dried chamomile flowers in a cup or teapot. Pour water heated to just below boiling over the flowers. Cover immediately and steep for a full 10 minutes. Strain and drink 1 cup in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1:30 to 60 minutes before bed. For acute cramping episodes, make the tea double strength by using 2 tablespoons of flowers per cup. For capsules, take 400 to 500 milligrams of chamomile extract, standardized to 1.2% apigenin, 3 times daily with meals. The effect builds over days and weeks rather than minutes, so consistency matters more than intensity. Chamomile works best as the foundation of a long-term strategy, reducing the overall frequency of cramps, while other plants in this progression handle nervous system support. Every plant covered so far works on either muscles or nerves, but some cramps have nothing to do with either. If your legs feel heavy by evening, if you notice ankle swelling after long days of standing, if your cramps cluster in the calves and happen most often at night, poor venous return may be the underlying issue, and that requires a completely different solution. Blood delivers oxygen and nutrients to working muscles, but equally important, blood carries away metabolic waste like lactic acid. When veins struggle to move blood back up from your legs, that waste accumulates and muscles bathed in their own metabolic byproducts cramp. The pharmaceutical approach involves compression stockings and drugs like diosmin, but a tree nut does the same job for a fraction of the price. A 2012 Cochrane review analyzed 17 randomized controlled trials on horse chestnut seed extract for chronic venous insufficiency, and the conclusion stated that the extract performed as effectively as compression stockings for reducing leg pain, swelling, and cramping. The active compound, esin, strengthens the walls of veins and reduces the leakiness that causes fluid to pool in lower legs. This brings us to a critical safety point. Raw horse chestnut seeds are toxic. The bark, leaves, and unprocessed seeds contain escalin, which can cause serious poisoning. You cannot forage this remedy. You need a commercially prepared extract where the toxic compounds have been removed. How to use horse chestnut for muscle cramps. Take 300 milligrams of horse chestnut seed extract, standardized to contain 50 milligrams of ASN, twice daily with meals. Take one capsule in the morning and one in the evening. Effects typically appear within 2 to 4 weeks of consistent daily use, as the vein walls strengthen and fluid pooling decreases. This is not a quick fix, but rather a gradual rebuilding of vein integrity. Do not exceed the recommended dose, and never attempt to prepare horse chestnut yourself from raw seeds. Horse chestnut also has mild blood thinning properties, so if you're taking anticoagulants like warfarin or if you have kidney disease, skip this plant and work with a healthcare provider on alternatives. Here's the progression map to your situation. For cramps that come with inflammation, exercise, or physical activity, start with tart cherry juice at 1 cup twice daily, beginning at least 4 to 5 days before the activity that typically triggers cramping. For cramps tied to stress, anxiety, or nervous tension, Passionflower at 400 to 500 milligrams of extract taken 1 to 2 hours before bed addresses the nervous system signals that trigger nighttime episodes. For ongoing nervous system support between episodes, lemon balm tea twice daily, always covered while steeping for 10 to 15 minutes, amplifies GABA activity and reduces baseline excitability. For long-term prevention when cramps happen frequently, add chamomile tea 3 times daily using 1 heaping tablespoon of flowers per cup, steeped, covered for 10 minutes. This builds a foundation over weeks. For cramps related to heavy legs, ankle swelling, or poor circulation, horse chestnut extract at 300 milligrams twice daily strengthens vein walls over 2 to 4 weeks. You came into this video probably expecting to hear about magnesium, so let me address that directly. Magnesium matters because about 50% of Americans don't get enough from their diet. And yes, low magnesium is associated with muscle cramps. But here's the problem. Supplementing magnesium when you're not deficient does nothing for cramps. A 2012 Cochrane review that analyzed 7 trials with 406 participants found no significant benefit from magnesium supplementation for nighttime leg cramps in the general population. The people who do benefit are those who are actually deficient, and the way to fix deficiency isn't a pill, but rather food. Pumpkin seeds contain 156 milligrams of magnesium per ounce. Dark chocolate hits 64 milligrams per ounce. 1 cup of cooked spinach delivers 157 milligrams, and an ounce of almonds adds another 80. If you're cramping and you suspect mineral deficiency, these foods plus adequate water will serve you better than isolated supplements because the minerals come packaged with cofactors that help your body actually absorb and use them. One thing none of these plants can fix is a muscle that never gets stretched. A 2012 study published in the Journal of Physiotherapy tested nighttime calf stretching in 80 adults over 55 years old with nocturnal leg cramps. After 6 weeks of nightly stretching, cramp frequency and severity dropped significantly in the stretching group compared to the control group. No herb required, no supplement needed, just 3 minutes of calf stretches before bed. The combination that covers all angles looks like this. Stretch before bed, drink chamomile or lemon balm tea while you stretch. And if the pattern continues, add passionflower for deeper nervous system support. The plants enhance what stretching starts, and neither works as well alone. Before you rush out to buy anything, a few warnings need your attention. Passionflower may strengthen the effects of sedative medications, including sleep aids and anxiety medications, and because it can interact with anesthesia, stop use 2 weeks before any scheduled surgery. Horse chestnut extract is safe when properly prepared, but raw seeds, bark, and leaves are poisonous. Only use commercially standardized extracts And because the herb has mild blood thinning properties, avoid it if you're on anticoagulants or have kidney disease. Lemon balm may affect thyroid function in people with thyroid conditions, so check with your provider if that applies to you. Chamomile belongs to the same botanical family as ragweed, chrysanthemums, and marigolds, and cross reactions can occur if you're allergic to those plants. When in doubt, start with chamomile and lemon balm, which have the widest safety margins and the fewest interaction concerns. See how your body responds before adding anything more targeted. That's 5 plants, 5 different ways to stop cramps depending on what's actually causing them: inflammation, nervous system overload, poor circulation. You now know which ones match your situation. So here's what I want to know. Drop a comment and tell me which one you're going to try first. And if you've already used any of these, tell me what worked and what didn't. Your experience helps everyone watching next. If you want more plant breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. I cover what actually works plant by plant, condition by condition.